All right, my friends, welcome to the Dividend Happy Hour. I'm so stoked to be back with you guys for another week. Happy Friday to everyone. Hope you guys all had a great week, and I hope you are ready for a fun stream tonight. I have a good feeling about this one. We've got some pretty big news we're going to get into, but before we do anything, guys, first things first, grab whatever it is you're sipping on, whatever you brought to drink for the Dividend Happy Hour. Get your water, get your wine, get your beer, or in my case, grab your protein drink. Let's kick it off here with a quick cheers. So, guys, here's to you. Thank you so much for tuning in with me tonight and spending this time with me on this Friday night. And also, here's to the pursuit of that sweet, sweet cash flow, which is what is bringing us all together tonight, really. But more importantly, though, really, here's to you guys. So, cheers. Let me know a few things here in the live chat or in the comments below if you're watching the replay. Number one, what did you buy this week? What did you add to your portfolio? I want to know what you guys picked up, what you think is looking good out there. Number two, let me know what you're sipping on, what you brought to drink tonight for the Dividend Happy Hour. Like I said a moment ago, I'm just sipping on a little protein drink here. I just wrapped it up at the gym right before we started streaming. And so, got to get that. What do they call it? The anabolic window, which doesn't exist, by the way. I don't think, at least. But yeah, got to get that protein in. So yeah, let me know what you're sipping on. But number three, let me know what happened in your guys' portfolio this week. Did anything cool happen for you guys? Any new income milestones? Maybe you reached $10,000 in the portfolio. Maybe you just hit a new all-time high, or anything like that. Maybe 100 shares of SCHD or something along those lines. I want to hear anything cool that happened to you guys in your portfolio this week. Let me know here in the live chat or in the comments below. We'll blast it up here on the screen. Now let me go through. While you guys are doing that, let me go through, and actually I've got a couple quick announcements for you guys. If you haven't already, be sure to check out this week's newsletter in the description of the video. You can click the link. It'll take you right there. Really good newsletter article this week. It touches on some of the stuff we talked about in last week's Dividend Happy Hour, but in the newsletter, you get to see so many more cool things. You get to see all my buys for the week, all my dividends. You get to see any cool videos I watch, any podcasts, any articles that I go throughout the week. I'm sharing that in the newsletter as well. And there's also some really great notes from the community. But I highly recommend you guys check that out. Link to the most recent newsletter article in the description. And you can subscribe right there and have the newsletter delivered straight to your inbox. It goes out every Thursday morning. So check that out. Also, follow me on Blossom if you haven't done so already. Blossom is this new, really cool. I mean, it's not entirely new, but it's this really cool app. It reminds me a lot of Twitter, but for investors. And it's pretty much just Twitter as far as how you use it and what you do on there. Do you guys see Peanut? But yeah, shoot me a follow over there. You can also see my full portfolio in real time. You can see all my purchases in real time as they happen. And, I'm posting over there usually every day, every other day. So it's just another good way to stay in touch. But there's a link to Blossom also in the description of the video. So check out both of those things. Now, let me go through here in the chat and see what's going on with the gang. So let me just say what's up to all you guys. I see all the usual suspects here in the building. All the usual suspects. Good to see all you guys. Big week, fellas. Yeah, that's right. Shaw Dog said it best. Josh was getting a little impatient. Start already, please. Please, Ryan. Uh-oh. There he is. Here he comes. No, we weren't talking about you. Say hi to Peanut, guys. He has been, hey, come on. He has been a wild man today. Let me tell you what. He has been so busy. So maybe we can just get him to sit here and hang out with us for a little bit. But you guys know what happens when Peanut makes an appearance. You gotta take a swig. Those are the rules. I don't make them, but those are the Dividend Happy Hour drinking rules, which you can also drinking game rules, excuse me, which you can also find in the description. Sorry, Pete. I got a little protein on him. Hey. Okay. This is gonna be interesting. All right, guys. Let's see. Fast Eddie tonight is drinking a little tropical 7-Up. Zero sugar. That's always good stuff. We got Shannon sipping on a little Diet Coke, supporting Coca-Cola. We got Joyce doing the same, sipping a cold Coke. Let's see. Jared picked up some WEC this week. Very nice. We got Lucas bought some Tesla and drinking a hot cocoa. That sounds pretty good. Let's see. JJ picked up some VU and QQQM. Good buys, man. Good stuff. Shannon picked up 20 shares of BTI. That's very nice. We got Wing Addiction, picked up some Starbucks. That's what I bought this week as well. Starbucks, UPS, and Chevron. All three really good buys. And drinking some Coke tonight. Good stuff. We got the Lean Mean Dean machine in the building, also sipping on some Diet Coke. Love it. We got Chris, of course. Little ghost sour watermelon. Now that's really good. I'd say that's actually one of my favorite flavors. The watermelon, and also just like the blue raspberry. Peanut, come on, put it down. Come on. I can smell that thing from here. Come on. Let's see. My man Leroy Skywalker. Yes, Ryan. Loved the funky intro. Yeah, rest in peace, Carl Weathers, aka Apollo Creed. Yeah, that was really sad. I read about that earlier this afternoon. I think he was like 74, 75 years old, something like that. But yeah, definitely definitely lost a legend there. Let's see. Let's keep going here. Shamir, my man Shamir, drinking some cherry Coke. Man, a lot of Coke drinkers out there tonight. The one night I switch it up from my Sprite Zero, which is also a Coke product. Everyone's drinking something from Coca-Cola, but anyway, picked up some Starbucks, the Hershey Company, VU, VYM, and also sold out of Altria and British American Tobacco. Yeah, Altria. Maybe we can talk about it later in the stream, but Altria put out some really really interesting numbers, and I've got to say, I don't know. I might be getting close to wanting to, you know, get out of it, but we'll save that for another video, or at least later in the stream. It's something I really need to think through, because I don't know. There was some stuff from the earnings call that I was not a. It was a little bit concerning to me, but anyway, I won't won't get into that. Let's see. Let's keep going here. Oh, there we go. Adon said, I started yammering my boss's ear off about STHD and sent him Professor G's video about his 3-fund portfolio. That's awesome, man. I'm sure the professor will appreciate that. Shout out Nolan if you're watching, man. I hope you had a good week. Let's see, my man DeRock here. Some interesting calf cows, TD, Kroger, Kimberly Clark, Pepsi, and Genuine Parts. Is that what GPC is? I think so. So, man, quite the shopping spree this week. Let's keep going, though. Yeah, Kevin here picked up some KHC. Is that Kraft Heinz, right? KHC is Kraft Heinz, I believe. KHC, it sure is. And some H-Band, sipping on a Bush Light. There you go. And we'll get into it, the main event, guys, in just a moment. I think I should be pretty close to being caught up here in the chat. I won't tell you what the topic is tonight, because it's right there in the title, so it's not like it's a surprise or anything. But here we go. This is a cool little milestone. I think this is the first milestone that we're sharing of the stream from Shaw Dog. I went huge into VU and broke my all-time high. I'm guessing that means all-time high portfolio value. In which case, man, congratulations. That's always a good feeling. I actually think I was down a little bit for the week, not much, but yeah, just a little bit. Let's see here. Let's keep going. Nieces and nephews said, AT&T and Verizon bought themselves this week. That's all. Yeah. Big payday from those guys this week. Excuse me. Yeah. I see you guys shouting out Peanut. You guys know the rules. Let's keep going here. Yeah. Dex, shout out Black Flag. This is my 6-pack shirt. See that? Let's see. Let's keep going. Shamir, how's Peanut's portfolio doing? So I actually don't have Peanut's portfolio. Once I wrapped up the Patreon, I actually just transferred the few $100s in there into my Roth IRA. So Peanut's portfolio is no longer around. Actually has like 5 cents in it that I probably should just close out. But yeah. Peanut's portfolio is no more. He would have spent it all on cigs and temptation treats anyways. It's kind of his thing. Let's see here. Oh, how old is Peanut? Peanut is, I think he's 7 or 8. Yeah. There we go. Jim says, coffee for me tonight. Sold out entirely of New York Community Bank at a loss. Got the tourniquet on it, minus 10%. Continue to bleed. I'm sorry to hear that, Jim. Bought a boatload of other stocks with the proceeds, Vici Properties, Merck, and Pfizer. Nice. Very nice. So let's see here. Keep going. Yeah, Shaw Dog, did I hear Meta is now a dividend player? It'll be $500 in paying dividends. Crazy. Yeah, we'll get into that in just a moment. That's obviously the topic of tonight's main events. And just a couple more comments and we'll dive right in. So cheers from J&B Chateau. Sipping on Hillbilly Margarita, Mountain Dew and Tequila. Nice. Picked up Walmart, Hormel, HOG, which I'm not familiar with, and then QILD. Okay, good stuff. Let's see. What else we got? What else we got here? Wow, Nathan, that is dedication, my friend. Made it from the UK, 1 a.m. over there. Nice. Very nice. Cool. This is really nice. Tony says, thanks for answering my questions on your YouTube this week. I'm new to investing and I'm looking forward to the year ahead. Well, man, thank you for popping into the happy hour. And thank you for the great question. Yeah. And yeah, it definitely will be a good year ahead. I've got a feeling as well. So keep up the good work. HOG is Harley Davidson. That makes sense. Okay, guys. Let's see. We are officially all caught up in the chat. So why don't we get into the main event? Okay. 141 people in the stream right now. I think it's 10 minutes in, 11 minutes in. I think this is a good time to jump over. So as you guys know, there was some pretty big news. This is the biggest news in the dividend investing world this week for sure. It came out yesterday and it's this right here. Let me put it up on the screen. So Meta, aka Facebook, formerly known as Facebook, initiates a quarterly dividend of 50 cents. Okay. And along with that, they announced a $50 billion share buyback, which is, no small amount, obviously. But as far as the dividend goes, guys, here's what we know so far. Okay. So number one, based on the current share price, which is about $475, and I'm really estimating here, but based on the current share price, the dividend yield, when it's all said and done, should be about a 0.4% yield. And let me double check my math on that real quick. So like I said, the current share price, let's go over to Seeking Alpha real quick. Current share price is $475, okay? And they will be paying a 50-cent quarterly dividend, which means that, every single year they're going to be paying $2 in dividends. So take that $2 in dividends, divide it by 475, and that's going to give you a 0.42% yield. So I rounded down just a little bit. So when all is said and done, it should be a 0.42% yield. So not very high at all, but this is also in line with, other tech companies like Apple or Microsoft. I think Microsoft's yield right now is sitting at about 0.75%. Apple's is about 0.5%. So this is pretty akin to both of those. Not surprising to see the yield this low. But anyway, the next thing we know is the dividend will be paid on March 26th. Okay, so in just under 2 months. But the ex-dividend date is going to be a few weeks from now on February 21st. So you still have some time if you want to buy some shares and collect that dividend. But remember, guys, ex-dividend date, February 21st. Make sure and get your purchases done before the end of the 20th. Okay, so that's the next thing we know. And then the third thing is that this dividend will cost the company roughly $5 billion per year. And based on their reported free cash flow of $43 billion in 2023, that would put the free cash flow payout ratio in the trailing 12 months at 11.6%, which is really low. So the dividend is definitely very well covered, and at least for now, does not seem to be at risk at all. So those are the few things that we know so far about the dividend. Obviously, there's no telling what the growth on that is going to look like, but based on the low free cash flow payout ratio and the low starting yield, I actually don't know. I really shouldn't speculate, but it'd be nice to see them be, one of a high dividend growth company. We're just gonna, I don't know. We're just gonna have to see what happens. But anyway, with all of that said, it kind of begs the question: should you invest in Facebook? Should you invest in Meta? For those of you who are strictly dividend investors, now that they're about to start paying a dividend, is this a company that you should consider for your portfolio? And as far as whether or not you should buy it now, it's tough to say. Like, let's just go back over to Seeking Alpha real quick. So jumping over here, okay, you can see that. Let's actually do a little this right there. So we can see, guys, once again, the share price, $475. Just today, it's up 20.32%, which is insane. And we can see, let's just look at all these time periods here. So the last month, it's up almost 40%, and unreal. In the last year, it's up 158%. So I don't know. It's a bit rich. I will say it's a bit rich, but I still think that there is a lot to like about the company. And after the news, I was like, I'm familiar obviously with Facebook and Instagram and WhatsApp and their family of platforms, but I've never really looked into the company. I've never actually looked at the financials and dug a little bit deeper than just knowing what the company does. And so I spent a little time doing that last night. And I do think it's a very interesting one to consider. Maybe not at this price exactly, but I do think it's a very interesting company. There's a lot of good things going for it. And one thing that really jumps out to me is this stat right here. So, or this couple of stats that I'm about to share with you. So, right now there's about 8.1 billion people in the world, and of that, 3.2. Go over this next slide. 3.2. Look at that on the very far right there. 3.2 billion of these people are daily active users of at least one of the company's family of platforms, and this includes Facebook, Instagram, WhatsApp, Messenger, and not only that. So 3.2 billion every single day, every single month. We're about 4 billion, which means that roughly half of the world's population is regularly using one of Meta's platforms. And I think that's pretty dang impressive. That's a pretty impressive statistic. And when you think about it too, it's not just social media these days is not just a young person's game. It's multi-generational. It's teenagers, parents, grandparents are using, at least one of these platforms or all of these platforms, which actually is or was kind of the running joke. I remember this growing up when it came to things like Facebook. It was ruined. Like as soon as your grandma got on Facebook, it wasn't cool anymore. But that also signified more of a mass adoption. And the same thing happened with Instagram too. It was like people went from, or, my generation, I suppose, went from and younger went from Facebook being the cool thing to then Instagram being the cool thing. Cause that's where your parents and your grandparents were not. No offense to anyone out there. But then, grandma gets on, Nana gets on Instagram, and then once again, it stops being cool. But jokes aside, I think that really just speaks to the reach that this company has. And I think the fact that multiple generations, people young and old, are using this and have essentially grown up on it too. I think that speaks to just the reach that this company has. Now, qualitative stuff aside, jumping back over to Seeking Alpha, looking at the financials, I think this is, equally, there's a lot to like about this as well. So let's go over here, go over to the income statement, and let's just start with the revenue. I mean, and just by looking at this, you can see how much growth this company has seen in terms of sales and profit, and you can see the growth all the way down the income statement as well. Looking at the margins, though, as a percent of revenue, gross margin or gross profit margin, pretty high and also very steady. So 10 years ago, 82, almost 83%, then 84, and it gets up to as high as about 86.5 or so. And then the lowest it's ever been is 79.6% in 2022. And 2022 supposedly was not a very good year for them. That was the year, if we go back here to the summary page, looking at the share price, in 2022, this stock saw a low of very low. Okay, just under $100 per share. So even in not a great year for them, the margin stayed pretty well intact. And actually, on an absolute basis, really didn't dip much at all, hardly any. So that's pretty impressive. But furthermore, if we scroll down, looking at the operating margin, this is also pretty steady. 40% 10 years ago, mid 40s, or actually 50% at the highest in 2017. And now it's, about 34.5%, almost 35%. And scrolling down even more, looking at the net income margin, this is actually in some years increased. So 10 years ago, it was 23.5, then 20, and then it jumped up to 36, about 40% right here, 2017, 2018. And now it's kind of, at least last year, once again, here's 2022, that bad year, but 2023 looking pretty good, 30% net income margin. So, margins look pretty dang good. This company's buying back shares. And like I said earlier, they just announced another $50 billion, share repurchase program that they should be implementing over, probably this next year or so, which may or may not. I mean, you can make the argument too that it's not the right time for them to be buying back shares, but man, they just have so much cash that maybe they just don't know what else to do with it. They had, $43 billion in free cash flow. So that's really solid. And if we scroll over looking at the balance sheet real quick as well, this company, they have some debt, right? So we can see on a total basis, the debt is actually increasing, and it's gone from, $500 million in 2018 to now $37 billion as of the last report. But on a net basis, it's still negative. So they still, have negative $28 billion in debt. So this company's not in any danger of going under or becoming bankrupt anytime soon. And last thing we'll look at, guys, is the free cash flow. So like I said earlier, $43 billion in 2023, I guess. But according to this is kind of interesting. So this, and maybe there's just, I don't know, the different numbers somewhere, but this has it at 16.7 billion. But anyway, we'll look at it on a per share basis. Just look at the trend. The free cash flow per share, if this will pull up, really strong. Here's that bad year 2022, but otherwise, guys, it's up and to the right. So financially, this company is looking really well, and looking at these numbers in a bit of a different way. Over the last 10 years, revenue has grown by a compound annual rate of 34%. Very impressive. It's slowed down in the last few years, but still 20 or 19.5% over the last 5 years, 17% over the last 3 years, another 7.5% year over year. Very impressive. Look at the growth in the free cash flow across all time periods. It's looking great. So yeah, financially, this company is looking very strong. And I don't know. One thing I've been thinking about is would I ever buy into this company? I think that's kind of the last question with all of this. And I will say, at this point, I don't have any plans to start a position. But yeah, I guess never say never. I do think there's a lot to like about Meta. I think it's really cool that they've decided to pay a dividend, and I'm really interested to see how that dividend grows over the years. Um, it certainly seems they have the capability to be an aggressive dividend grower, kind of like a Visa. But we'll see what happens. I'd be interested to just kind of keep an eye on this one, do some more research into it, and maybe consider it in the future. But I do think it is a bit rich right now. And personally speaking, I'd rather focus on some of the other positions in my portfolio. Like at this time, I'd rather still just put money into Visa. So, but that's my take on the whole thing. I think overall, really cool news. We got another dividend stock in the world of dividend investing. So it's good to have another option, especially in the tech space. And I want to put it back on you guys. What's your plans? You guys have any plans to add any shares of Meta? And also, what are your thoughts on the company as a whole? I'd be curious to know both of those things. So let me know that in the live chat, and let me know in the comments below. I want to see what your guys' responses are. But first, I've got to take a quick swig of my protein drink here because I'm a bit parched. Okay. Let me see what you guys have to say. Yeah, let's see. Okay. I don't know who this guy is, but let's see. Let's see. A lot of comments. Okay. Yeah, JJ, Zuck made $29 billion this morning. That's crazy. So there we go. Shamir says the dividend didn't convince me to buy Meta. Still happy to have that exposure in VU. That's true. That's a good way to look at it. Ooh, this is a good question. I wonder if Google will follow suit. That'd be interesting. That'd be very interesting. Dean says, I think Meta is overvalued right now. It could be wrong. Yeah, I don't know. I haven't done enough research into it to really know for sure, but it's a strong grower. Definitely a strong grower. Let's see. J&B says, don't know if I can get on board with the stock around 475 and only get $2 annually when I can get a better dividend from lower cost with a longer track record. Yeah, I think that's fair. I don't think you should prioritize the dividend yield all too much, but I understand what you're saying, and I think I think you're looking at it the right way. As it pertains to a longer track record, because we don't know how this thing's going to grow. Like for all we know, it could be a 0.42% starting yield, and they could only raise a dividend 3%, which would suck. So, yeah, I think it's good to know what you're up against in terms of dividend growth, because you might be more willing to buy something with a lower yield if there's a strong track record of aggressive growth. So, I get what you're saying. So. Hmm. Tony says I'll stick with Microsoft 10% CAGR. There you go. So, yeah. I read this too, or a couple places. Zuck will make $700 million just in the newly announced dividends. That's just, I don't even know if I made that much money and wanted to give $1 million to you know, $1 million to each person to divvy it up evenly. I wouldn't know 700 people to give $1 million to. That's just I what does one do with that money? It's just so much money. I can't even wrap my head around that. I don't even know. It's crazy. Crazy, crazy amount of money. Let's see. Dave here says, I bought Meta at 90 to 120. Very nice. And sold it $350 because they didn't pay a dividend. Super low debt and enough cash to pay off all their debt. Fantastic company. Yeah. Yeah. Um, mm. Yeah, this is a good point too. Meta does have the first mover advantage to gaining users, but at some point the user base will slow down or stop growing at all. Yeah, but you know what? I don't and this is just where I need to think about the business a bit more, but I don't know if that's all too big of a deal because their revenue is generated from like I think 90 something percent of their revenue comes from advertising, so they could just, increase ad rates, so or somehow entice more people to spend money on advertising on the platform. So I don't know how big of an issue that is. And once again, I don't know. So mm, let's keep going. Yeah, if only 3M. If only. Yes, this is a good point. Good clarification. It's an additional $50 billion buyback. They haven't completed their previous one yet. Yeah, I think they had a little bit, maybe like a billion or so left over on that. I don't remember the exact number, but I did read something about that too. Thank you for adding that. Um, so yeah, Kevin says I have no interest in Meta at this point. Well, that steals the deal for me. If Kevin's not interested in it, I'm not interested in it. Let's see. Dividend investors. This is funny. Dividend investors come to the dark side. We have cookies. Zuck says, I want cookies. It's funny. I read a comment on Seeking Alpha. Just one of the articles that announced the news. And the first comment that I read, it was at the very top, was something like it was like something like all the dividend junkies are going to like, poop their pants or something like that. Basically all the dividend fanatics are going to freak out about this or something like that. I thought it was funny. It was worded in a more funny way than I just butchered it. You had to be there, I guess. Tony says, would like to know why you like Visa stock so much. Well, Tony, I put a video out a few weeks ago on my channel, going pretty in depth on Visa. So definitely check that out. It's called, what's it called? Let me find the video. It's called something like I just bought the most perfect dividend stock or something along those lines. Let me see here. It is, yeah, it's something like that. So if you just head over to the channel, you'll see it right there. It's called I just bought the perfect dividend stock at all-time highs. Yeah, check that one out. But just in short, I mean, Visa, it is the world's largest payment network. And the company, if you just look at how efficiently that company's run, it's pretty insane. The margins are higher than any other company I've ever seen. They're essentially just printing cash. And as time goes on, more and more people are going to be paying digitally, which Visa will be a beneficiary of. So it's one of the best toll booth companies I think I've ever looked into or ever seen. So, but yeah, definitely check that video out because it'll go into a lot more detail than what I just said. So, oh, this is a really good question, guys. If you were starting now, which stocks would you buy? I'm going to save this question because that'd be a good one for a video. Let me see. Let me think about this for a second. If I was starting now, like if I had to start from scratch, what stocks would I buy? I would honestly, if I was starting all over again, I would just go with ETFs. Like the first thing I would do is just start investing in something like VU for sure. and maybe SCHD on top of that, maybe. Excuse me. That's what I do in my Roth IRA. Every week I just dollar cost average into those. But if I was just starting over again, that's what I would do. I would build that as the foundation in my portfolio. And from there I would really think about what businesses I understand and which ones I use on a regular basis, because and the two kind of go hand in hand. If you use a business or use a business's products or service on a regular basis, you're more likely to be familiar with it and understand the inner workings and maybe what makes that a good business. If you can put yourself in the shoes of a customer, I mean, because you are one. And so I would think about what those look like for you. Like for me, it'd be something like Starbucks. It would be Procter and Gamble. I think that's a very easy one to wrap your head around. Um, I think for me, those two really jump out. Those two really come to mind. And but I would look for businesses like that. And if you want to branch out into individual companies, I think that those would be a good place to start. But don't my advice too would be, do not invest in anything that you really don't understand, um, and don't invest in something just because you see someone like myself or any other YouTuber or author on Seeking Alpha, or don't invest in something just because of someone else is doing it. That's just not a good long term strategy. So, um, yeah, I'd like to revisit that in another video at some point. I think that's a really good question. So let's see here. Yes, Jay asked, did you hear about the underage harassment issues that the leadership ignored, including Zuckerberg? Yeah, I did see that, and I saw that he was grilled in front of Congress, I think too. Recently, I saw some of that as well, and I would say that's one of the risks with that company is I don't know that there is a lot of regulation around social media right now, but that is a potential risk if they do decide to assign more regulation to social media companies and kind of have more of a thumb press down upon those companies. That would be something that could be a detriment to those companies. But at the same time, it's like, stuff like this that you bring up, Jay, that's not good. So, maybe it's necessary. I don't really know. I don't really know what the right answer is. Hmm. So see that Disney comment. Let's see. Let's keep going. Oh yeah. Jim says thoughts on the upcoming Walmart 3-to-1 stock split. Usually it's looked at as a positive signal, even though value doesn't really change. Um, no, I don't have any serious thoughts on it. I think it's cool for Walmart shareholders. I was thinking of Chris. I was thinking of you, man, because I know you messaged me with that news. But I was thinking of you because you have the largest Walmart position out of anyone I know. So I think it's cool to see your number of shares triple. That just probably feels cool, but outside of that, I don't really have any serious thoughts on the matter. Um, and then Matt Money, I second that. I second this sentiment here. Good to see you, man. Hope you had a good day. Let's see. Um, yeah, Shamir says Apple is the only tech stock I have, and I don't think I'll be adding any other individual tech stocks. Even all the YouTube hype around Microsoft hasn't convinced me to buy that stock. Mm. Yeah, I mean, I'm with you, Shamir. Apple's the only tech stock I have, unless is Visa technically in the technology sector, or is Visa technically in the financial sector? Let me look. Yeah, it's in the financial sector, but it's no, it is undeniably a tech-heavy company, so it could go either way, I'd say. But yeah, Apple's the only tech stock that I have as well, outside of whatever I get exposure to through the S&P, which is I know the same for you, Shamir. Wow, Salvatore, this is great, man. I got into Visa under $200 per share. That's fantastic. Good for you. I would love to see Visa get get back down there. That'd be nice. But anyway, another cool comment from you. If realty income gets to 50, I'm buying 100 shares. Monthly dividend is enticing. That's true. The monthly dividend is enticing, but at the same time, I will say this, guys. I've said it before, and I'm sure I'll say it again. You know, a monthly dividend really is just this is my opinion, but I think it's just a marketing gimmick. I understand like the desire to have monthly dividends, but I would not. People tend to put more weight and you know, yeah, people tend to put weight on the payment frequency. I guess that's the best way to put it. But it really doesn't mean anything. Whether you're getting paid every quarter or whether you're getting paid every single month, it all amounts to the same dollar amount when it's all said and done. And I've seen people try and make arguments about, yeah, well, but the compounding effect is better, or it's like, well, yeah, but it makes a difference when you can reinvest it every single month versus every single quarter. But it's just not true. I mean, it feels good to get a monthly dividend, but at the end of the day, it's really all the same. And if you have a diversified portfolio, you're going to be getting dividends every single month anyway. And I've also heard the argument, and once again, this is just based on opinion. So, and this is just mine. I've also heard people say, well, yeah, but when you're retired, you're going to want that monthly income. Well, once again, if you have a diversified portfolio and you've been investing for a long period of time, like you're gonna have dividends coming in every single month, and you're just gonna have to budget that. You know, you'll know in which how much you'll be able to see the breakdown of how much you're getting every single month. So you just need to budget that, and it all works out to whether you get paid $4,000 every single, or excuse me, whether you get paid $3,000 every single quarter or $1,000 every single month, it's still $12,000 per year. And so you just need to budget that, but don't 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 pay any extra attention to a payment frequency, I guess is the bottom line here, because it's really like it's not a big deal. So I think it's just a marketing gimmick. And I actually, as much as I like Realty Income, I think that they're a really good example of that, because they've actually trademarked and brand themselves, market themselves as the monthly dividend company. So it's just a marketing thing, in my opinion. Sorry for the tangent. Hey Pat, good to see you. Good to see you, Pat. How was your trip? Are you home? You still down there in the Gulf of Mexico? What's going on in your world? Let me know. Let's see. Oh, yeah. This is a good question. Trevon says, Ryan, any good earnings? Looking forward to next week. Yeah, guys, I'm actually a bit behind on listening to earnings. I've not been good this earnings season. To I sat down yesterday morning to listen to Starbucks' earnings call. But then I just got distracted and had to start working on other things. I did a staycation on the Strip earlier this week, which I think I told you guys about last week. So pretty much Sunday, Monday, and Tuesday, and those are usually pretty heavy work days for me. I was out of commission, and so I've just kind of been behind this week. So I haven't been able to get to the earnings that I've wanted to. There's just been other stuff getting in the way, but at some point I'd like to sit down and go through some earnings. Starbucks is on there. Altria Group's on there. Visa, I want to listen to their earnings. KRC has earnings coming up. I'm very interested to find out about that. EPD, Enterprise Products Partners. And I understand the high level stuff, kind of just the rough numbers around a lot of these already. I've seen the highlights, but I want to actually listen to the call and take some notes on that. So in time. Let's see. Uh, mm. This is interesting. Thank you for sharing this, Kevin. Looked at the rationale for the Walmart stock split. It was based on Sam Walton's belief that the employees are more motivated holding full shares. I can definitely see that, because a lot of investors are the same way. A lot of investors don't like seeing fractional shares, number one, but also a lot of investors have the mindset that, which I understand it, but the more shares, the better, which is true. Like, I'd love like 100,000 shares of Visa right now, but what I mean by that is they will look at two different companies. I talked about this in a recent video. They'll look at two different companies. One is priced at $100 per share, for example, another's priced at $50 per share. They'll want to go with the $50 per share stock because they can buy 2 shares versus being able to buy just 1 share of the $100 stock. And that's what they'll use as the basis, for their investment thesis. And it's just your mind playing tricks on you. You don't, it's all the same at the end of the day. It's still $100 invested no matter what. But that's just one of those psychology things, I guess. But so that makes sense. Let's see here. Eli, this is a good question. Do you think T Rowe will have a good year? I don't really know. I'm not really the best person to ask about T Rowe because it's not one that I really pay much attention to. I think it's a solid company. But I don't know. I think it depends what happens in the stock market. If stocks do well, their assets under management will go up and they'll be able to generate more fees. So they'll be able to generate more revenue from that. But at the same time, and also if the market goes up, their investors will be happy. Or the people who invest with them, I should say. But at the same time, if the market goes down, then T Rowe's share price may go down because their assets under management goes down. So then they're not able to generate as much in revenue. So from the fees. So I don't know. I don't know what's going to happen to T Rowe. Touche. The monthly dividend is slightly more enticing when you're in the boring middle, Ryan. Fair enough, my friend. Fair enough. Well said. Oh, there you go. Is that real? Is this a little retirement trip, Pat? Is that what you're doing down there, down in the Gulf on an island until April? Let me know. What have you been doing down there? How have you been spending your time? I'm curious to know. I'm love to hear about it. So yeah, this is a really good question. Are you a fan of stock slices for stocks such as Costco, Home Depot, etc.? Yeah, I'm a big fan of stock slices. I think it's cool to be able to buy fractional shares. I think it really makes investing accessible to people of all budgets. I think one of the things that historically has kept people from investing in the market is seeing, Costco at $700 per share, for example, and saying, I don't have enough money to buy that, so I can't invest. And so I think by allowing investors the opportunity to buy fractions of a share, it really opens it up to people who maybe don't have as much money to invest and or are scared to put a lot of money into the market. They can start slow and go at their own pace. And at the same time, I think it's a cool thing. And at the same time, I think that eliminates a big excuse for people to not invest. I think, if one of your excuses or someone has an excuse that I just don't have the money to invest right now, it's like, no. If you have a dollar, if you've got $5, anyone can find a dollar per month minimum, $5 per month. If you can do that, you can start investing. So I also think it removes a pretty big excuse for a lot of people. So let's see here. Let's see. Yeah, this is kind of interesting. So Ray says, I use Robinhood and I still only buy whole shares. It's kind of interesting. So I've kind of become that way too, not on purpose. It just kind of naturally happened. So on Charles Schwab, which is what I use to invest, you can buy fractional shares for, I think it's just companies in the S&P 500. They don't open it up to every single stock, and you can't buy fractional shares of an ETF, which hopefully they change. But yeah, I found myself lately just buying whole shares of whatever it is I'm buying. At some point though, with like Visa, I keep bringing up Visa. At some point with Visa, because it's like $270 per share with my weekly contributions, I'll have to start buying fractional shares, but I still got some cash on the sidelines and I'm able to buy full shares, which has been fun. So let's see, let's keep going. Here we go. We got Ben. What's up, Brian? Good to see you. Good to see you as well, my friend. I hope you're having a good day. Hope you had a great week, and I appreciate you tuning into the Dividend Happy Hour. And I'd love to know too. Usually, we've got like one or two people at least who pop into the chat and say this is their first time here. I haven't seen anyone say that, but I'm curious to know if for any of you guys watching right now, is this your first time in the live stream? And if so, let me know. I'd love to see who's new here. And we have the regular suspects tuning in every week, which is awesome. But I'd love to know if any of you guys, if this is your first time to the Dividend Happy Hour. And if that's the case, if so, we do this every single week, every Friday night at 5 p.m. Pacific time. So if you enjoy this, if this is your first time and you enjoy it, hope to see you next week, same time, same place. So let's keep going. Got about 15 more minutes left in the stream. I'm excited too tonight, guys. I'm going to cook up some burgers. We've been using our cast iron skillet again, and it adds it does a little something different with the taste and just how burgers are cooked. And so I'm really excited for dinner. I might usually have two burgers. I might throw in a third tonight. We'll see. We shall see. Got my man Nathan Robert in the building. Guys, check out his channel. Nathan, I don't know exactly how old you are, but I'm pretty sure Nathan's in his teens, and he's got a really cool channel. He's sharing his portfolio. He's on the dividend investing journey, just like a lot of us, but once again, I don't remember exactly how old you are, but it's so cool to see, people who are on the younger end taking interest in this stuff, because investing really I don't know. I'm 30 years old, and I don't know anyone else, like anyone in my friend group that's even remotely interested in this. And, investing is one of those things, as we talk about often. It's one of those things where every investor says they wish they would have started sooner. That's totally the case for me. And so when I see people like Nathan, I'm going to throw Jack Murphy into this category as well. Check out his channel too. You guys are rock stars. You are, you're headed places. So keep up the good work. Okay, Tony K. We got Tony K, first time viewer. Love it. Thank you so much for tuning in. Salvatore, nope, can't get enough. I love to hear that, man. That really makes my night. Thank you. Just got the newsletter. Good stuff. Oh, and once again, guys, if you want to read the most recent newsletter, there's a link to it in the description of the video. I send out the newsletter every Thursday. So you can check out the most recent newsletter from yesterday, linked in the description. And if you like that, consider subscribing to the newsletter. You can do it on the webpage there. And it'll be delivered straight to your inbox every Thursday morning, bright and early. It'll be the first thing you see when you wake up. So, one of the first things. So, oh, there we go. Mark says, not my first time watching, but my first time catching it live. Love it. Thank you. I'm happy you were able to make it live tonight. Ooh, this is a good question too. H32, is contributing per week better than lump sum per month? Not really. It's preferential. And to be honest, I think what's most important is that you are investing regularly, whatever that looks like for you. Whether it's investing every single week or investing every single month, or even it's just doing one lump sum every year. Like I know a few people who, like with their Roth IRA, where the max contribution limit is $7,000. I know a lot of people who they'll deposit $7,000 in at the start of the year on January 1st or the first trading day of the year. And then they won't check it again for a whole nother year. But at least there's still at least there's still some consistent investment going on. And so the frequency at which that happens is totally up to you, whatever you want to do. So, but no, it doesn't really make a big difference. So nice. We got Patek, first time here. Love it. Ray, I almost never catch you live. Happy to be here. Thank you, man. Happy to see you here. Shamir says, cheating on Chipotle this evening, Ryan. Yes, I know, Shamir. I know, man. I actually haven't had Chipotle for a little while. I've been doing this diet thing and I've really been trying to take it serious. Like the whole month of January, I didn't drink at all. Really didn't cheat on my diet at all either. Diet was dialed in. Training, the workouts were dialed in. And I was able to drop a few pounds just this last month. And so I want to keep that going into this month, which means no Chipotle. Unfortunately, I did take a little bit of a break from all that when I was doing my, staycation on the strip. I definitely had some margaritas, and one night I had some In-N-Out burger, which was kind of interesting. It tasted really good. Tasted so bomb. But I don't know. maybe it's because I hadn't had it for a long time, but I just really didn't feel good after eating it. And that's, that happens when you stop eating fast food or when you stop eating junk. When you're not used to it, it can, you know, kind of makes your stomach not feel the best. And you feel bloated and just not tons of not good stuff. Um, so I got my fill of all that for a while. Nathan's 19 years old. So man, that's awesome. That's great. Great stuff. So yeah, Ty, when did you start? So I started investing a few years ago seriously for myself. I started investing when I started investing regularly every single week when I was like 26. Prior to that, I had a custodian account that was kind of being built up for a while, but that was pretty much just whenever I had a birthday or whenever I had, Christmas, anytime there was a gift that I received, it was usually money from my Charles Schwab account. And so that gave me the first exposure to investing, but I didn't really get interested in it and I really didn't start doing it seriously until like just a few years ago. So, wish I would have started sooner. Oh, man, this is easy. It's not even a question. I'd 100% take a share of Starbucks. So, not even a question. Oh, Jim, great question. I'm so glad someone asked about this. I love talking about books. Any books in the queue? Reading The Millionaire Next Door just started. Yeah, so I'm actually I've got a few pages left on an Onward, which is the book by Howard Schultz, talks about his return to Starbucks as CEO back in 2008. And I've got just a few pages left. I think I've got maybe 20 pages left to go. So I'm going to try and finish that either tonight or tomorrow. That's my goal. And then I'm going to start. One second. I'm going to start. I think I'm going to start this right here. This is the new Morgan Housel book, Same as Ever. And it's tough. Like I've got a few really good books that I'm excited about, but um, yeah, I think I'll dive into this one. I think this will be a very easy read. It looks like it's only about 200 pages long, not even. And like the words on the page are big. And it doesn't even look like they're like full pages. So I'm going to start that next. And then I've got a handful of other books that I'm looking forward to going into or getting into. And I just added, I just can't keep up. I just added like 3 or 4 more books to my reading list on Amazon that I'd like to buy at some point. And it's like I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I've got 5 books over there that I still need to go through, and I'm committed to doing that before I buy any more. So, and the cool thing is, starting with this book here. I started just taking notes. Anytime I saw a quote that jumped out to me, I started putting it in my Dividend database and just kind of started logging all my book notes and what stood out about the quote to me and stuff like that. And so at some point, I'm not exactly sure how I'm going to do that, but at some point I'm going to share all of those book notes. I want to, in the same way that I want to share my Dividend database, I'd like to share all my book notes. So I'm figuring out the best way to facilitate all of that. And that's on my to-do list for this year, is to roll out all my full Dividend database, which is going to house all of my stock research, as well as my book notes and pretty much anything related to investing. I might even do through this database, like just extra videos. And my plan is to roll all of that out sometime this year. And it's been on my to-do list for the last few months to really like get it dialed in. But just been busy. Things have gotten in the way, but I'm finally getting to a point where I'm ready to start spending more time on that. So that'll be hopefully happening sometime before the end of the first half of the year. I'll have that done. I think that's pretty doable, but I just got to figure out the best way to facilitate all that. But yeah, and I think it'd be cool too to just and use that as a way to build a community around other people sharing their stock research through using the database, or kind of following that as direction, or sharing their book notes as well. So I've got a lot of cool stuff in my mind of how I want that to go. So Osvaldo, this is a good question. Are you done with the walk to 100? No, I do it every single week. I missed this week because I was doing my staycation, but we'll be back with the walk to 100 first thing bright and early Monday morning. I didn't want to do it. I was doing it Monday through Friday for the entire month of November, and I think that was just too much. That was too much for me, and so yeah, I just decided to cut it back to once a week. So, but yeah, every Monday, 7 a.m. Pacific time. Yeah, 10 a.m. Eastern time. So let's see. Oh, there we go. Burn Survivor. I got the Snowball yesterday in the mail. You're gonna love that book. You are absolutely gonna love the Snowball. So Dex. I'm bricked up on Chipotle right now. That's so funny. That's awesome. Salvatore says, "What are you doing for the Super Bowl?" Probably nothing. I really don't care. I'm really not a big sports person. Um, yeah, I really don't care. So, but I'll tell you what. So my in-laws were in town this last week, and they. That's why I went and stayed on the strip because they were here. We all just stayed on the strip for a couple nights, and they're big 49ers fans because my they're kind of from not too far from the Bay Area. And so, like, they live probably an hour from where the 49ers play from Levi Stadium. And so they're huge 49ers fans. So we had to watch the game. We actually went to this really cool sports bar, this new one that just opened up in Vegas a few weeks ago, called General Admission. I think there's one in LA, and they just opened one up here in Vegas. Really cool spot, too. It's off the strip. If you guys are ever in Vegas and looking for a cool sports bar off strip, that was a cool spot. But yeah, so we went and we watched the Niner game, watched the championship game for like, I don't know, 3 hours and some change, and I just doesn't do it for me. I've never been a big sports person. So there we go. Alex says, "Hi Ryan, first time here, not first time watching your videos. Enjoy the info." Thank you, Alex. I hope you enjoyed, all of you guys who are new and returning viewers to the Dividend Happy Hour, whether you're catching it live or catching the replay. I appreciate you guys tuning in, and I hope you I hope you enjoy doing this. I look forward to doing this stream every single week, and yeah, it's just cool to see everyone tune in every week and come back for this. So we just have a really solid community here. I'm definitely fortunate. Shamir says, "So the In-N-Out was really an In-N-Out experience." You know what? So going back to In-N-Out, one of the books that I really want to read soon is there's a book. I think it's called, I don't even know what it's called, but it's a book on In-N-Out. And that one's like definitely one of the next ones on my reading list. And there's another one called Becoming Trader Joe. I think that's what it's called. And that's also another one that I'm really excited to read. Salvatore, the personal question: how do you fund your portfolio? I'm fortunate enough, and I will not make this a tangent. I really will not, because I can. I'm fortunate enough that I am able to do this YouTube stuff full time. So YouTube and the newsletter and whatnot. This is my full time gig, and so that funds pretty much everything, which is a huge blessing. So yeah, I've been able to be full time with this for the last about year and a quarter now. So very cool. Let's see. X to the what? X to the who? X Dividend Dad in the his house. Yep. I was thinking of a different song. I was thinking H to the Izzo, B to the Izzy. X gonna give it to you. And that's a completely different song too. Yeah. Adon says shots. He's cracking out the books. Yeah. Yeah, Shamir says tuning out. Those games are always boring, and this year we'll be seeing more of that singer than anything going on the playing field. That's funny. That is funny. Yeah. Salvatore, do you recommend any books specifically on dividends? Let me see. No, I actually haven't read any. Books specifically on dividends. And as time goes on and the more books I read, truth be told, I'm kind of getting away from I'm kind of getting away from reading just like straight up investment books. Those just don't really do it for me anymore. I really enjoy reading biographies and what else? Like, I don't. This isn't really a biography, but whatever this is, I enjoy this. Same as Ever by Morgan Housel. I do like this because it's not really like a technical investing book. It's really more so like stories that teach you something about investing. And that was the same case with the Psychology of Money as well. But as time goes on, I'm more so drawn to stuff like that. And I've found too that, well, at least in the case of reading Onward, what I really like about this is I learned something about Starbucks from reading this, and I have which is obviously a huge portion of my portfolio, and then I have another book that's on Visa and the origins of Visa, which is also really cool. I get to learn more about the history of this company that I'm a shareholder of, and so I'm trying to find more books like that that talk about just some of the inner workings and maybe the origin stories of the companies in my portfolio. I think that's something I'm really gravitating towards right now. But yeah, I'm kind of getting away from a lot of the technical books like The Intelligent Investor or the little book of this, that, or whatever. I think a lot of that stuff you could honestly, I think a lot of that stuff you'll learn through osmosis just by watching YouTube videos and stuff. And yeah, I don't know. Yeah, H32 says you can try to put your notes in a section in your website. That's kind of what I was thinking. There's another thing that I've been looking at, another platform that actually directly integrates with my email newsletter that I thought about building a community on for all the stuff that I was just talking about. And so I'm kind of back and forth between doing that on my website or doing it through this other thing that I was just mentioning. Um, I still need to chew on it. I actually need to develop. I just need to like kind of line item by line item start going through the steps of what it's going to take to build this thing out. So let's see. Caitlin says, what is your database stored in right now? It's on Notion. It's on Notion, and I could share just the link and make it a web page, but I don't necessarily want to do that because I do plan to sell the database template at some point and probably will make access to my database and book notes and stuff a premium sort of thing. So I'm like I said, I'm figuring out the best way to facilitate all of that. Jim says too much info on the daily walks or too much cardio. No, talking about the walk to 100 and cutting it back. I mean, neither. It was just time wise. I would rather use that when it was all said and done. Like I was walking because I would pretty much start walking from like at 6 a.m. and then I'd be at my computer till 7:30, sometimes 7:40 a.m. So that's almost 2 hours right now that I'm dedicating to either something regarding the stream, actually streaming or reading articles about stocks or watching YouTube videos. And I didn't want to spend that much time on that stuff every single day. Just because there's just a lot of other stuff going on that I'd rather put my time towards. And I just didn't want to commit to that every single day. So 6:03. Let's see. Let's get caught up in the chat. We'll call it a stream here. So let's see. DMAT says my current book is The Coffee House Investors Ground Rules by Bill Schulthes. So let's look this up real quick. The Coffee House Investors Ground Rules. This seems interesting. Let's jump over to the screen, show you guys. I've seen this cover before, actually. Save, invest, and plan for a life of wealth and happiness. Okay. Coffee House Investor. I guess there was that. Okay. Ignoring Wall Street and the myth of the perfect portfolio lets you focus on three components that matter: saving, investing, and planning. Yeah. And I honestly, like, I don't even know if I would need to read the book because this is the gist of it. And it's like, okay, I get it. I get it. That's cool. What's this one though? What's the original book looking like? Um, After 13 years, Overwhelmed. Okay. Okay. That's kind of cool. Just remember three simple principles. Don't put all your eggs in one basket. There's no free lunch and save for a rainy day. Nice. Let's see. Yeah, just started Can't Hurt Me. I think that's the David Goggins book, I believe. So, yeah, Salvatore, the ins and outs of In and Out Burger. Let me show you guys actually what's on my reading list. So, let's go over here. Uh, let's do that right here. So, Almanac of Naval Ravikant. This is a pretty iconic book, and I had it on my list at one point. I think I removed it. I don't remember why, but this is on here. Letters from a Stoic, talking about just letters from Seneca here. I actually saw Professor G reading this the other day in an Instagram story, and I'm getting pretty into Stoicism. I watch a lot of the Ryan Holiday stuff. I watch the Daily Stoic. I don't have the newsletter anymore, but I was reading the daily newsletter for a long, long time. So this is something that I'm pretty interested in, and I think there's actually a lot of application from the Stoics to investing. So I think it's a good thing for everyone to study. Lives of the Stoics. That's a good Ryan Holiday book. I actually stumbled upon this. I was at Barnes and Noble the other day, just kind of popping around and flipped through this a little bit. So it jumped out to me. So I want to check that out. I listened to an episode of the Founders podcast talking about Ed Thorpe, and this combines two things that I'm interested in: Las Vegas and investing. So, yeah, I thought this would be good to check out. There's that In and Outs of In and Out book you were talking about. Life plans on bar napkins. I just added this one. I saw an Instagram ad for it, and it seems really interesting. I don't know if you guys remember the book. It was called "I Hope They Serve Beer in Hell." It was, man, I read this book 10 years ago, maybe. And it's just a collection of stories by the author, just kind of crazy stories. And this has nothing to do with investing, but it seemed like a really interesting book to me. And basically, it's just short stories from his travels throughout the years with his friends. So I thought it sounded kind of fun. Becoming Trader Joe, I was talking about that. Fooled by Randomness by Nassim Taleb. Thinking in Bets, Annie Duke. I listened to a podcast with her and Howard Marks talking about this book, so I wanted to check that out. This is a book about Johnson and Johnson, so I figured that'd be an interesting one to read. And I've shown you guys all of these before. I'll just continue to scroll down so you can get a glimpse of what else is on my reading list. But some of these I'll probably end up removing. Like, I don't know. Let's see. Let me see if I can find one that maybe I'd end up removing. Like probably How to Read a Financial Report, I'll end up removing. Only the Paranoid Survive. I might remove that one. Excuse me. Here's a couple dividend books for you, though. I haven't read them, but they've been recommended to me, both by Geraldine Weiss. Whoever recommended them to me, it was one of you guys in the community, was really stoked on Geraldine Weiss. So I added these here. But, I got a book on Coca-Cola, one on Walmart, got a couple Las Vegas history books there, some Warren Buffett books, Wealth of Nations by Adam Smith. It's classic. So a lot of good stuff on there. Meditations by Marcus Aurelius. It's another classic. So yeah, that's what the book list is looking like right now. Man, it'd be nice to just take a week and just read for a straight week. I think Bill Gates does that. He'll go somewhere remote, just take a big bag of books, and he'll spend it reading. Analytics. Black Flag is the real old school. Didn't the guy who owns CBGB's open something in Vegas? I don't know if he did or not. I'm not sure. I haven't heard that, but yeah, I like Black Flag a lot. If you're into punk rock, a YouTube channel that I think you guys would really like is one called Punk Rock MBA. A lot of really cool videos on there to check out. I actually watch a lot of that stuff. So let's see. Let's keep going here. Let's see. Oh, interesting. Jacked. The Outlaw History of Grand Theft Auto was a really good read. I love Grand Theft Auto. So I'll have to check that one out. Let's see. Okay. Okay. We're all caught up in the chat here. Yeah, this is kind of funny. Couple more, then we'll wrap it up. Okay, guys. How does it feel to invest and live in a gambler's paradise? It's a good reminder I think it's a good reminder to not invest in the same way that people, spend their money down on the strip. I think it's a good reminder. I love going down to the strip. I don't do it that often because it really is a big money pit. Every time you go down there, you're gonna end up spending a lot of money. But I really love being down there. There's just something about it being in all the buildings and walking through the casinos. I really enjoy it. And I'm really interested in Las Vegas history, like mob history and just the whole, like Vegas desert, classic Vegas desert aesthetic type look. That's something that's really interesting to me, as well as like the Palm Springs mid-century modern, that sort of look. You guys probably know what I'm talking about, but I really think that's a cool that's just a really cool period of time and a really cool style and architecture and stuff like that. So I have a big appreciation for that. Journeyman, this is a good question. Ryan, do you go to church? Not very often. I don't. Not very often. I'm open to it. I just don't really go that often. But both like my in-laws and my parents go to church usually every single week. But yeah, it's not something that I really do. But my fiance and I have talked about it before, like wanting to start going and find a place here in Vegas to go every week. We just haven't gotten around to it. So but yeah, I think it's if nothing else, I think that is a pretty positive thing to get into. And I don't know. We don't have to get too much into that, but I do see the benefit of it. So let's see. Yeah, Dan watches punk rock NBA. That's cool to know. Um, let's see. Okay. Yeah. Okay. This is the last question. Oh, real quick, J Dill Mob Museum and Neon Sign Museum are really cool. Yeah, I want to check those out for sure. I haven't done that yet. The Mom Museum is supposed to have a really cool bar, really cool speakeasy in there. So I do want to do that. So Salvatore, any thoughts on investing in dividend stocks and feeling like you're going nowhere? You know what? That's a really good question too. I'm going to save that. So guys, I started doing it this last month in January, but I want to at least for the next few months, every single month, I'm going to be putting out a Q&A. Jeez, you guys keep commenting and I can't screenshot it. Hold on a second here. So I'm putting out Q&A videos every month where I'm just taking some of your guys' good questions that jump out to me through these live streams or in email submissions or just in comments and videos. And I'm making videos around them, just kind of expanding a bit more on those questions. So that's something I'm going to do. I did it in January. I'm going to do it in February. I really have fun with those videos. I don't know if I'll make it an every month thing for permanently, but we'll see what happens. But anyway, just kind of a sidebar there. So yeah, so going back to this question, any thoughts on investing in dividend stocks and feeling like you're going nowhere? You know, I dividend investing is one of those things that just gets better with time. It's a really slow, it's a really boring way to invest. And it's it's one of those things you're just going to have patience with. Good things come to those who wait. And as we actually we didn't see it earlier today. We talked about it last week. I'm going to share this quote in my Sunday video, which is going to be baller. Sunday's video is going to be really good. You guys, please watch Sunday's video. I think this might be one of my favorite videos I've ever made. The edit on it is just like, so please tune into Sunday's video. But I this quote that I'm about to share, I share in there. Charlie Munger said that in investing, the big money is not in the buying and selling. It's in the waiting. And so, success with this style of investing comes from just basically continuing to accumulate shares and just kind of sitting on your butt waiting for it to grow. And obviously that doesn't happen overnight. It takes, multiple years. I'm only a few years into investing myself, about 4 years in, and I've already seen just how far you can go in a short period of time. So I guess to answer your question, feeling like you're going nowhere, just hang in there. Just keep climbing. That's really all you can do. You really have only two options, right? It's either you keep climbing and you keep investing and you just keep at it, keep contributing and just take it one penny at a time, as my friend Harris would say, or you give up, which is not an option. So all you can do is just keep going. And you know, this is where it helps too to have some sort of portfolio tracker in progress too, something that you can use to track your progress, because in the immediate, it may seem like you're going nowhere and it may seem like nothing's happening. But if you zoom out and look at your progress over, even if you've just been investing for 6 months or a year, or not a long period of time, if you can zoom out and look at things from a longer period of time, you'll see that progress has actually been made, and let that serve as evidence that you're headed down the right path and you're going in the right direction. And if you just keep at it, and if you don't give up, and all that jazz, then it's going to work out. If you can just do that for a period of years, you'll be pretty happy that you did. So, my thoughts is just hang in there. It's something that we all experience, and this is one of the things that people don't like about the style of investing, is that it is so slow and it can be so boring. And for some people, like, at first, getting 5 cents in dividends or 10 cents or whatever it is at first is not exciting. And people look at that and say, why would I do that? Like, what's 5 cents going to do? But it's not about that 5 cents. It's about what that 5 cents is going to look like a year from then, 2 years from then, 5 years, 10 years, 15, 20 years down the road. It's going to look a lot bigger. And yeah, so just hang in there. It's something that we all go through. It's something that we all experience. And, this is exactly what I was talking about in last week's Dividend Happy Hour. This is what I'm talking about or wrote about in this week's newsletter, which you can read in the description. This is pretty much kind of what the boring middle is. When you first start dividend investing, it's very exciting. And even if you're, just get those 5 cents in dividends, which for some people is nothing and is just kind of throwaway, which you're not going to retire off 5 cents, but still you can. For a lot of us, it's like, man, that's still 5 cents that I didn't have to work for. And you see that, and it's like a light bulb kind of just goes on. And then, it's like that's the first day of your life. The whole world has opened up in front of you when you get that first dividend. But then somewhere along the way, you kind of, it all, maybe not for everyone, but it can lose its luster and things can seem a bit normal. And, you're used to getting dividend payments, and sure, they're bigger than they were before, but still it all becomes a bit routine. And at that point, it can start to, you kind of lose sight of the progress that you've made, and you can start to feel like you're going nowhere. But in those times, like I said, you've got to zoom out and see just how far you've come, and know that if you just keep going, you'll be able to go a lot farther. So sorry, I didn't mean to ramble on that, but that's a great question. So, okay, guys, I think we need to wrap it up here. So, 7 months. Yeah. Yeah. So, okay. Everybody talks about what 10K looks like in 30 years. Well, I don't have 30 years. I want to see in 10 years, real life, and that's, once again, that's the downside to this, is you need to be patient. And don't get me wrong. Like, you can do a lot of damage in 10 years. You can do some really solid compounding in 10 years time. But with that said, if you're someone who doesn't have a lot of time on your side, let's say you're someone who's starting to invest older, maybe you're 50 years old and you want to retire by the time you're 60 or 65. That's 10 or 15 years. That's a lot less time than someone like myself has, or some of us young guys have, who start investing at 19 or 20 or 25 or 30. You've got a lot more time on your side. So, you just have more years to compound. But if you're someone who's starting later and wants to get it done in 10 years, you're going to probably, to make up for that time that you don't have, you're going to have to invest a bit more aggressively, meaning you're going to have to contribute more to your portfolio than someone who has more time before they can retire, or before they're ready to start pulling those dividends. You're going to have to invest a lot more at 56 to fund your portfolio, just because you have less time. So you kind of have to make up for that. And that's kind of the unfortunate part about it. But you can, like I said, 10 years time is still pretty substantial. Like, hypothetically, I'm just going to throw out a number there. And I did this in a recent video. Actually, the Q&A video that I did last month, I actually go through an example. It's towards the end of the video. It's like one of the last questions that that I answer, it talks about what you should do if you're an older investor, someone who's not starting till you're in your 40s or your 50s. How do you still make it work, basically? And that's what it was. If you can, just to throw out a number, let's crunch some numbers here. So if you invest, you might have to invest $2,000 a month, which is a lot of money, but it's just, if you want to get it done in time, if you want it in 10 years, then that's just something you're going to have to do. But let's just use $2,000. If at 10 years, you probably will have to realistically do more than 2K a month. But $2,000 a month, that's what is that? $24,000 per year across 10 years. That's $240,000 invested, and we're not even taking into account. I mean, that's a good chunk of change, and we're not even taking into account the growth, the gains, and the dividends, especially when reinvested across that period of time. So you could end up with a really nice portfolio if you followed that approach. 2K per month, 2,500, 3K per month, whatever you can do. Basically, at that stage in the game, I think it's crunch time. So it's like you gotta make up for that lost ground by investing a higher amount every month. So let's see. Yeah, I keep saying I'm going to end this, guys. I really will soon, I promise. So Phil says, speaking of Harris, have you spoken to him since he paused his podcast, and how is he doing? Harris is doing really good. We were texting a little bit today. I usually text with him and Russ usually once a day. We've got a group chat going. So yeah, he's doing good. Doing very good. So yeah. Anyway, guys. Yeah, last thing I'll say here. Probably an unpopular idea, but I trade options to gain extra money to invest, cut some of the boring parts. No, I don't think that's unpopular at all. There's a lot of people here in the community that do trade options, and yeah, it's a good way to supplement your dividend income for sure. My friend Wayne, who, if you guys should watch his channel, Wayne Nichols. He actually lives here in Vegas too. Good guy, but yeah, check out his channel, Wayne Nichols. He is crushing it with options. You're just going to have to go watch his videos, but it's unreal. It's just unreal. It really is unreal, the amount of money that you can make from options. And, at some point I might dip into that, but not quite ready there. But yeah, I can definitely see, Wes, to your point, how that could cut out some of the boring part for sure. So, but anyway, guys, we're going to wrap it up here. We went pretty long tonight, hour and 20 minutes, but really fun stream. Like I said at the start, like I had a feeling this was going to be a good one, as they always are. Always enjoy doing these. But with that said, I want to thank you guys so much for your time. Couple of things before we sign off for the night. Number one, if you haven't done so already and you enjoyed this stream, there's 117 of us here in the stream. If you've not done so already, it'd mean the world if you just hit that thumbs up button one time. Let me know that you enjoyed the stream. Give me that good feedback there. And also, if you want to see more content from me in the future and don't want to miss stuff, hit that subscribe button for sure. Read the most recent newsletter article from yesterday, link in the description. If you want to follow my portfolio, check it out on Blossom. There's a link to that as well. Posting over there just about every single day. And you can see my full portfolio in real time. So definitely check that out. Join the Discord, like Chris said. Talking about options, we actually have a full channel dedicated for options as well. What else? Last thing, yeah, Sunday's video, guys. I'm so stoked on this video. I think it's a fun topic, number one, but I put a lot of work into the editing, and I'm trying to, I'm always trying to get 1% better when it comes to scripting these videos or editing or the thumbnails or whatever. It's just a constant work in progress, and I'm really proud of how this edit came out. So I would love it if you guys just watch the video coming out Sunday morning. It's going to be a good one, and you guys will know what I'm talking about. This thing that I added to the edit. You'll have to let me know in the comments if you liked it, because if so, like I really enjoyed. I'm not going to spoil it, but whatever it is, I really enjoyed putting it together, and I'd love to do that more in future videos. But I'd love to get your guys' feedback on it, and you'll see what I'm talking about when you watch the video. But anyway, we're going to wrap it up there. Brian, man, I'm sorry that you missed it. You at least you caught the last minute. At least you caught it enough to hear the sign off for the night. But once again, thank you guys so much for your time. Last hour and 25 minutes. And yeah, hope you guys have a great weekend, and I will see you in the next one.